Wowie! Another Neptunia Countdown! Who's ready for me to reboot my most popular countdown of all time? It's top 10 HyperDimension Neptunia characters. After hearing some criticisms from one of my fans and agreeing with him on it because, wow, I found a ton of problems in that video that I could basically do an entire commentary on it. Maybe for my 10th. I decided to remake the list from the ground up. The reason why I titled it Playable Neptunia characters specifically was because I wanted to go over both their in-game units and their personalities as characters. Also, I'll be including DLC characters because for the game's DLC characters that I've played as, the DLC characters are completely free. With that said, let's start up the remake. Falcom has two variations, the one stationed in HyperDimension as well as the one in Ultra Dimension who is younger. Falcom didn't play much of a role in the plot of Rebirth 2, as she was part of a beginning quest in Chapter 3 on her own island, and chose to stick around for the rest of the adventure, and played a minuscule role in Rebirth 3 considering that the two of them were DLC in that game. But her events are entertaining, and I find it clever that she has the worst luck in boats, as none of Nihon Falcom's games are on Xbox consoles. I think that I enjoy Ultra Falcom more than I like Hyper Falcom, due to the strength that she brings, where there is several who can fill the vital tank role on the team better than Hyper Falcom with her weaker attack stat. Falcom is fine, but the others are better.
Is all I have! Limiter release! Max beam output!
Hello, Histy. Don't think I'm not watching you. Depending on the game, Histy could be an omnipotent key to ultimate power, or a high school teacher with access to the best history textbook you'd ever read, who honestly does not get paid much for what she has to put up with. Histy is an enigma, as there's a clear difference between her super and hyperdimension counterparts. However, the thing that remains the same is that her strength is omnipotent. Histy's stats are incredibly high, meaning it's easy to grind with her, making Rebirth 3 so much fun. And that's just her normal attacks! Her highest stats are her intelligence and her mentality, and it clearly shows. Even without the strongest physical attacks, by around level 99, all of Histy's defenses and attack stats are all in the thousands, and her large range and movement definitely help in this case, which is especially great for early in the games, which is probably why she was DLC in Rebirth 1 to be playable by the late game, and could be unlocked by the end of Rebirth 2. Rebirth 3 fans, unite! The only thing holding her back is the role she's placed in as Neptune's mom, and it always begins the same way, though more so in Rebirth 3 as the comments between the lazy Neptune and the clearly snapped Histy come off as almost petty at this point. And who likes an aggravated strategy guide?
Is all I have! Limiter release! Max beam output!
Compa is one of my favorite characters in Rebirth 1, as she got a ton of focus in that game, and her relationship with Neptune and IF really felt relatable and showed a team dynamic. However, what holds her back from being higher are her Hyper and Ultra counterparts. Not as characters themselves, god no, they're still fun, and in Mega Dimension, Compa was a lot more prominent as she was given time to shine with Neptune and IF, just like in Rebirth 1, showing that team dynamic that I love so much. I'm talking more in Rebirth 2, where the most important thing she does is rescue Nepgear in the beginning, but then she's just kind of for the ride. Ultra Compa had the added bonus of being able to get information out of Warshu, but she herself didn't contribute to any battles and was free DLC in Rebirth 3. Compa stats are able to get the job done. Compa is the healer of the group, so it makes sense that her highest stats would be more so specially based rather than physical. Basically, keep SP chargers on standby for Compa, not only for her healing skills but also for her Compa Love Heart, which does a ton of damage no matter the game. Just what the doctor ordered.
Is all I have! Limiter release! Max beam output!
At the time I made the original list, I had just completed Neptune's story and really enjoyed the interactions between Bisha and Neptune, as she had a really good use in battle and she could get several hits in with one attack, making her good for boss fights. I also recall placing Sisha below Bisha. Yeah, I don't get it either. When replaying Mega Dimension V2 again, I noticed that I use Sisha a lot more than I use Bisha. And not only do I like her relationship with Blondie more than the other relationships between the Gold Third and CPUs, but I also appreciate making her an unwilling villain, as she was the cause of the delusion spreading to the monsters by complete accident as they took her over. But the place where Sisha is really good is in her battle performance. Her attacks are hard-hitting, with several references to Street Fighter and Mega Man, with attacks like the C-Buster and her EXE drive being several kicks, meaning you'll be back to using it again. Sisha's just a lot of fun.
Is all I have! Limit or release! Max beam output!
Yep, I'm keeping these two together. Again. The reason for this is because of the role they both play in the story. Plutia was a nice addition to the Neptunia franchise, as it was interesting to see what would happen if Ultra Neptune didn't get a CPU memory and someone else found it instead. And the results are terrifying, if previous reviews haven't indicated as such. And Pishi was a really fun character who surprisingly had more impact on the plot than Plutia did, as she was the focus from chapters 5 to 8. They are both two extremes of a lazy Planeptune CPU. Plutia naps all day and Pishi messes around all day. No wonder their colors and basic processors are almost exact opposites. This is shown in their battle performance as well, as Pishi and Yellowheart have more strength and intelligence, whereas Plutia and Iris Heart have more intelligence than strength, and these two complement each other very well.
Is all I have! Limit or release! Max beam output!
I remember putting Rom at the bottom of my list because I didn't really care about the character she had. But because of her gameplay effects, I've grown to really like Rom as a unit. Going back towards her character, I find it interesting how close both she and Ram are, and how one of the best units in this game is Ram out in front with Rom as support. Sort of like how a Nintendo DS can't function without both of the screens. Speaking of gameplay, Rom's a great support. Even on the field, she has high vitality and mentality stats, meaning she's a great tank. And Rom in Rebirth 1 and 2 has a ton of SP, meaning that she has a ton of healing moves as well as skills that can lower stats, making her a great asset on the field.
Is all I have! Limit or release! Max beam output!
Yeah, I'm putting these two together again as well. The reason is their personalities are the same, and they both cancel each other out in terms of plot. Ultra Neptune has a higher amount of importance in Mega Dimension Neptunia V2, but Hyper Neptune is the protagonist of the entire franchise. These two personalities are very similar, as they are both fun-loving, not the best at reading the room, lazy, and have a hard time living on their own, which to some might be a bit harsh considering a moment in Rebirth 3 where all the Ultra Dimension CPUs assumed UltraNet died due to having no livelihood or access to food, to which, ironically, Ultra Neptune at the time she showed up ran out of food. Anyways, enough about their bubbly personalities, let's focus on their gameplay. Ironically, aside from their skills, they have similar stats. They're both jack-of-all traits in terms of stats with high HP counts to make up for a lack of their buff. And while I'd say UltraNep wins in terms of character, as she plays a larger role, HyperNep destroys UltraNep due to how HyperNep has access to both Purple Heart and, in Mega Dimension, Next Purple, whereas UltraNep is purely human. Either way, both Neps are great, but they cancel each other out, so I'm keeping them together for this list.
Is all I have! Limit or release! Max beam output!
Uzume is one of the most interesting characters in the franchise. Uzume is the center focus of Mega Dimension entirely, as she is the main character of Zero Dimension and Heart Dimension's plotlines as well. I also really enjoy how she kind of gives herself her own multiple personality disorder, as she gives off a cool, relaxed, colder persona, yet on the inside she's a girly girl who just loves cute things. She gave herself that personality to toughen herself up for battles against Dark Purple. However, I also really enjoy what she adds to the gameplay of Mega Dimension, as both she and her Orange Heart form are able to perform the role of attacker as well as the role of healer. This makes those boss fights in Zero Dimension, where you have to fight one after another, which can sometimes be fun, but that's mostly thanks to Uzume's double role. Plus her skills have a great effect on EXE gauges. as her attacks have several hits within them, thus allowing a good use of EXE drives. If you think she's terrible, you must be dreaming. Nope! I am not who I commentate on. Shh! It's the planning process!
This is all I have! Limit or release! Max beam output!
As I was replaying the 4 main Neptunia games, I began to realize something. Nepgear is a refreshing change of pace. Nepgear as a character is almost the complete opposite of her older sister, and for a game franchise like Neptunia, filled with zany characters, it's nice to have a down-to-earth character, somewhat grounded and relatable, as she's a normal protagonist rather than what Neptune is. However, I really enjoy how the Rebirth games added to her quirkiness about how she really loves machines. However, Nepgear truly excels on the battlefield. Nepgear is very much like Neptune as she's a jack-of-all-trades character, and really isn't all that special when she's placed in the front. What puts her this high is what she can do in support. Nepgear is the only character in the game who is able to remove the damage cap completely and get combo attacks higher than 9,999 damage, which is just amazing. Sure, Rebirth 3 treated you like a punching bag, but once again, Mega Dimension Neptunia V2 makes everything better. No honorable mention this time, didn't do it for the original list after all.
Nepgear them! Go!
The Neptunes had a fun personality. Uzume had a great effect on EXE drives. Nepgear has an ounce of sanity, along with an admittedly relatable quirk. Burt has all of this. Burt is definitely my favorite playable Neptunia character. In terms of her character, she plays the big sister role to the rest of the CPUs because, well, in one way or another, all of them are like children, which explains a large shift between CPU personalities with them, yet Burt doesn't change much, if at all, when becoming Greenheart. Her fun personality comes from her being both a caring big sister type, but also in her relatable quirk, as she is the hardcore gamer of the group. And I say this is relatable due to Neptunia's target audience being hardcore gamers. This makes her character incredibly relatable and a lot more interesting to me. Burt is also incredibly excellent in terms of gameplay. Burt, Greenheart, and Next Green are glass cannons in their own right. Burt has an incredibly high strength and intelligence with high HP to boot, at the expense of mentality and vitality. This gives Burt a nice balance. Put her with Nepgear and any enemy is basically dead. And I make this mention again. Burt's my favorite character because of how relatable she is to me, as I feel really close to the character, because in some way I feel like she is me. What, do you not see the relation? Both gamers to the point we should be worrying about our health, how we're both quote-unquote intelligent, and likes the idea of fertility? I'm Pcuspard, and now that I think about it, I'm also a lot like Chica in a sense. Almost irrational love of Burt's character, which one that most people I talk to seem to hate her for being a fan service character. Not really bad, just something to think about.